Cheers everyone, and welcome back to the Noctilucent YouTube channel. Wait, that's right. I changed it to the Noctilucent Dark Ambient Network recently. And you may be wondering about that, but the main reason for doing that is because I have this crackpot theory going that if the channel name is a little more descriptive and obvious of what my content is here, that when people see it in search results, they're going to be like, whoa, this is a whole channel dedicated to dark ambient music, which obviously it is, but it wouldn't have been previously obvious from just having the channel being called the Noctilucent. So I have this, like I said, I have this theory going that this will help bring subscribers in. And maybe I'm crazy, and I, constantly, since I was a child, have been asking myself, am I crazy? And I think maybe I'm a little crazy, but check this out. I'm not bullshitting at all when I say this. There has been actually a lot of people subscribing to this channel recently. So either my crazy theory is correct, or maybe people just suddenly realize my videos aren't terrible after all, and now they're subscribing. Over 5.5 years since I started this channel. I don't know, but we're all here and people are subscribing, so that's awesome. So cheers to that. Yes, so welcome to the channel, and as you know, this is the Noctilucent Dark Ambient channel. And typically we talk about dark ambient music here, but we will sometimes diverge and we'll talk about other genres that are related and maybe even not so related sometimes. Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about Dungeon Synth music, and to me personally, I've always said that this music is related to dark ambient, and I mean, although the themes and the overall presentation is different, back in the day, of course, Dungeon Synth music and dark ambient were often confused of being the same, and because of that, I think they will forever be connected together and be a related genre. But however, today I'm not going to be specifically talking about a specific album or a cassette tape or anything like that. No, I'm going to be talking about something just a bit different. Something that I didn't see coming, but after I realized it was a thing, I was like, holy cow, man, this is really freaking cool, and I had to get my hands on this. Okay, so let's backtrack about a month and a half ago, and I'm just kind of perusing through one of the Dungeon Synth forums on Facebook, and I see this post about Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. Yeah, like that was a thing suddenly, and I was like, I got this smile on my face, and I was like, oh my god, that's really cool, man. And here's the thing, for me, trading cards, nowadays, trading cards aren't a big part of my life. I haven't bought trading cards in well over 20 years, but back in the 90s, holy moly, man, I loved trading cards. My big thing was sports cards, in particular baseball, and I remember it was, I can't say for sure, but I know the year was 1992. I was about 11 years old. A friend of mine, who was also my younger brother's friend, one day he just brought some trading cards over, some baseball trading cards, and he showed them to me, and just something inside me just illuminated, and I was like, oh my god, I want to collect this stuff. And up until that point, I had already collected a lot of stuff. I had collected, G.I. Joe figures, Transformers, He-Man, all that kind of stuff, all that stuff that these, 80s kids like me collected and loved. So just moving on to trading cards seemed like a natural progression of things, and I became obsessed with it. Throughout the night, I would say from about 1992 until about 1998, the money spent, and I should also say my poor mother, the money she spent from 1992 to 1998 on trading cards is immeasurable. It was a lot of money. I was so obsessed, and back in those days, like I said, baseball was my main thing, but I also collected hockey, football, and basketball cards as well. And shortly after getting into it, I discovered there was a lot of other kids in the neighborhood who were really into it. And unless you were, a kid or a young adult at that time, you probably won't remember this, but back in those days, sports cards were really popular. It was a big thing, and everyone was doing it. So yeah, I hopped on the trend of, collecting sports cards, and me personally, I loved collecting cards of certain players I liked. And when I look back on it, I have no rational reason why I preferred certain players over the others. I know in some cases it was because some players were more valued than others, but in other cases I just liked players because they just seemed like cool guys. And for me, back in the day, my favorite player was Cal Ripken Jr. Yeah, this video's getting weird already, right? Like this is supposed to be about Dungeon Synth and Dark Game music. We're talking about sports cards. So my favorite player was Cal Ripken Jr. He was the shortstop for the Baltimore Orioles. And back in the 90s, I collected something like, I don't know how many, but we'll just say like probably roughly like 200 individual cards of Cal Ripken Jr. And I mean, he was by far the player I collected the most, but I also collected guys like, I don't know, Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas, basketball, it was like Shaquille O'Neal, Anthony Hardaway, and I feel like I'm not speaking anyone's language at this point. You Dungeoneers are probably like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? We're nerds and we play RPG games. We don't like sports, but whatever, it's fine. I'm just gonna keep talking about it for a few minutes, and we're actually gonna talk about Dungeon Synth again. So yeah, back in the day, I collected sports cards from the 4 major sports. And I remember also, and I can't remember exactly why, but a friend got me going on collecting, I guess it was like basically movie cards from the Batman Returns movie. And you know, I don't remember when Batman Returns came up. I feel like the cards weren't introduced until a few years after the movie came out. I could be wrong, but I know I had collected a lot of Batman Returns movie cards. I also collected X-Men and Marvel Comics and DC Comics trading cards. And then later on in the 90s, I got into like the Magic the Gathering thing for a hot minute, and I played that with some friends, and we did that for like a year or something, and then I was like, eh. And that was pretty much the end of me and my card collecting days. It's been well over 20 years since I purchased any trading cards, and you know, that binder, that's a small version. I have binders that are like this thick in the basement, and like it's just sitting in this big tote box with a lid, and I've got like 5 or 6 more binders just filled with basketball, baseball, hockey, and football cards. And like all the binders are like the good players, like the stuff that might actually have some value nowadays. I don't know, I might have something sitting out there that's worth hundreds of dollars. I have no idea, but it's just sitting in a tote in the basement, and like it's weird because like back in those days, that stuff meant so much to me. Like I loved trading cards. It was so cool. Whoa, look at that, my beer refilled itself, awesome. So one more little quick story about 90s trading cards, then I'm gonna get to my main point. So back in like, I don't want to say this is like 94 or 95, it was one of those like balmy ass July days where later on in the evening the weather went to shit and suddenly it got really windy, really rainy, and suddenly the meteorologist on TV is like, okay people, the shit is about to hit the fan and there is a tornado coming your way and your house might get relocated soon. Now for adults this probably wasn't that big of a deal, but for being a 13, 14-year-old kid at the time, I was sweating bullets. I was terrified, and I could be mistaken, but I think it was right around that time that the movie Twister came around. And that movie was kind of scary back in the day, like for a younger kid. I mean, not scary like, oh, I'm gonna have nightmares about it, but scary like that was real shit that could happen. And I think I started getting that in my head, and I started having an anxiety attack. And then, you know, it's weird, but like, I didn't care about like, like the house getting destroyed or anything like that. I cared more about my sports cards. So the family, we went in the basement, we were just chilling, you know, anticipating the worst. And instead of just being like, you know, scared for my life, I started taking all of my binders of sports cards, all the boxes, started taking them down to the basement, and I was like, you know, this storm can take the house, but it ain't taking my sports cards! Okay, so now that I wasted like 17 minutes of your time talking about all this, and you've probably already turned this stupid ass video off and like, God, this guy's ridiculous. We're gonna get to the main point here, and we're gonna talk about these Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. So if you're still here, and I hope you are, we're finally getting to the main point of this video, and I appreciate you sticking around, because I've had like 4 beers in 30 minutes, because this is the only way I can ever shake off the anxiety of doing these videos, and this is why sometimes things get a little out of control. I'm otherwise not really an alcoholic, but cheers anyway, again. So anyway, we are finally going to talk about the Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. So to start off, I don't really know all the facts. I don't hang out on the Facebook forums for Dungeon Synth or anything like that. I just see bits and pieces, and I saw bits and pieces of this when it was first released, and I was like, oh, that's cool, man. But quite honestly, it wasn't until another YouTube user who calls himself Vestibin's Bloodbox did a video where he was showing all the trading cards, and I was like, yeah, I really gotta get my hands on some of these things. So after I saw his videos, and cheers man for making that video, dude, I'm gonna tag you in this video or something so you see it. I don't know how it works, but we'll figure it out later. So I saw his video like a day or so after it was posted, and then I ordered these, and these little suckers have been sitting in my little room here for like a month now. Maybe even more. It was gonna be more by the time I post this video. So it's been over a month now, and I still haven't opened them. So I'm very curious. I just, like I said in some of the previous videos, I started a new job. I was busy, I didn't have time to make videos. So here we are finally doing the unboxing or unwrapping of the Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. Okay, so when I look at these, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Topps baseball cards back in the early 90s. So as far as I can remember, trading cards from like the very early 1900s, and of course again we're talking about sports cards here, from like the early 1900s until like 1990, they came in what they call wax packs. And this is in what they would call a wax pack. So looking at this is total nostalgia for me. Like, this is taking me back to those early 90s when I was just a little kid, just, you know, getting the sports cards. And I think wax packs stopped being a thing in 1990, but I remember back in the like 92, 93 when I started collecting cards, you could still find them at card shops because all, you know, the dealers, they were trying to get rid of them and stuff like that. So obviously I would buy some once in a while, and it was cool opening them up. And what I remember of these things was the packaging would rip a lot. So once I finally open this up, I'm going to try my best to preserve this and not screw it up too much. But yeah, I mean, just this is going to be some serious nostalgia right here. And like I said before, I haven't opened a pack of cards in over 20 years, so this is going to be really cool. Dungeon Synth Trading Cards, they were created by this guy named Bard Algal. And he is the owner, operator of the Dark Age Productions record label, which primarily releases Dungeon Synth and black metal music. Again, I don't know all the facts, like where the motivation came from. I'm assuming he's probably around the same age as me, maybe a little bit older, and this was just a way to recapture something from his youth. Back in the 90s, maybe he collected sports cards too. I don't know, I should probably message him and ask him, but whatever, it doesn't matter. We're just gonna open this, and we're gonna, you know, see what sort of wonders await us. A little bit different thing about this pack compared to old sports cards from the 90s is back in the day you had a random assortment of cards, whereas in these you get the same cards in every pack. And it actually says that in the back of the pack here, as you can kind of see that. It has all the artists listed, and quite honestly, when I look at this list, man, the only ones I know on here are Mortis and Orang, and that's it. So I don't know if these are older artists or... Well, actually, Orang's only been around since like 2012, but as for the other ones, I don't know if these are just, you know, contemporary artists that have made a big splash in the scene recently or what, but yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna have to look up once I open this pack and check it out. So before I open the pack, before I ruin it and all that stuff, I'm just gonna make this video documentation of it so you can kind of see that. There's a front cover, or whatever, not cover, I guess, right? And there's the back. This is what you call a wax pack. Okay, so we're gonna open up this wax pack. Let's see. Oh, son of a bitch, I already ripped it. God, I know I should have got two of them. Okay, we're opening. I'm gonna save the wrapper too because I'm weird. All right, so first we have Sidereal Fortress from Italy, and this is artist I've never heard of, but let's see what we got here. Hailing from the core of Italy, Sidereal Fortress is an ageless bard, a troubadour coming from the mists of time, a storyteller of ancient tales rooted in the Tuscan folklore. Wandering through mountains, hills, and forests, he has come to tell you about his deepest memories and his mysterious land. Let him sing before he leaves. Why would he leave? And then we have Orang. Orang from France, an early pioneer in the revival of Dungeon Synth with his first album, Tome 1, in 2012. Orang has created a musical world and lore of his own where all his albums take place the land of the five seasons. His music, being very intimate and nostalgic, is a journey to another world, another time, where imagination never fails. And then we have this guy, which is, oh, should I drop all the cards? This is Acarius from Reunion Island. What? Acarius. Medieval Dungeon Synth project Acarius derives inspiration from the landscape of Reunion Island and nostalgic feelings about the medieval ages in south of France. The sound is often dark and foreboding, full of alchemical mystery, I don't know how to pronounce that word. The lore of your ancestors returns to life as you explore. Challenge yourself to wander along these dark passages. Again, another artist I have never ever heard of, but I will definitely be looking up. Ah, look at this grim dude. Holy moly, look at all the spikiness. Ah, look at that. So this is Whispering Mirrors. Okay, oh, well, sure, it's right there. Whispering Mirrors' sole purpose has always been to create old school dungeon synth inspired by the mysteries of yesteryear. Both Grammanomicon and the Stuff of Old Dreams were both released on Ancient Metal Records, and both feature the traditional dungeon synth style. Whispering Mirrors has also performed live at the Dungeon Siege West Festival in Seattle, Washington, among other acclaimed musicians in the dungeon synth scene. Whispering Mirrors, everyone. Oh my god, this one reminds me of that old Immortal video from the early 90s. So this is Valestris. Valestris has been creating minimalist and meditative dungeon synths inspired by the lore and universe of Warcraft. I feel like I know what Warcraft is. Okay. With over 20 albums under their belt, such as Adventures of the Red Whelping, Birth of Nexramas, Sunstrider, and the Plagueland Chronicles compilation. Valestris is also known for their promotional work for the Dungeon Siege musical festivals with their quirky, hilarious commercials that hyped up each event. Okay. Oh, and then we have a little, we got this guy from Australia. Tarkin Turf is a dark ambient. See, I knew there was a connection. Dark ambient dungeon synth project started in 1999 by John Dexter. Tarkin Turfer style is quite frequently comprised of ritualistic rhythms and heavy bass grooves which serve to drive forward the brooding, blackened, string-soaked gloom. Tarkin Turfer's latest album, entitled Old Finbar Furlbrow, it features cover art painted by Bard Algol. Well, more connections, look at that. And then we got this one right here, which is dungeon synth based in the world of Earthsea, a lone wanderer among the archipelago, discovering the true names of all things. Fogweaver is forever indebted to and dedicated to the true archmage Ursula K. Le Guin. I guess you know who that is. Oh, man. We got this guy here. This is Worm, most well known as the mind behind Earthright Throne, is also the founder and composer collaborator of all material on Serpent Swords Records. The music of Worm varies from project to project, but most of it is dark, vampiric dungeon synth. Oftentimes incorporating black metal vocals, Worm is extremely prolific with about 15 or more active projects and around 80 releases at the time of publishing. That guy likes making music. Up next is Arcana Liturgia. Arcana Liturgia has been creating grand and evocative dungeon synth based on historical and fantasy themes since 1997. With 7 albums to his credit from the first demo, 1997, through the cult album Ars Moriendel and up to the latest Follow the Old Path, Arcana Liturgia has collaborated with multiple record labels and headlined the Northeast Dungeon Siege streaming festival. And last, but surely not least, and at least I would imagine most people know, Mortis. Mortis from Norway. Taken during the old Flatfjellahurthki sessions in the fall of 1993, it was in part by chance, or more specifically, my first attempt at photo development that resulted in the oppressive and dense atmosphere of this image. Not by design, the photo came out extremely grainy and vague. It was quickly realized that the end result was something special no less, and the rest is history. And of course, I suppose Mortis needs no special introduction. I mean, all the other cards have, you know, introductions of who the artists are. I mean, it's kind of interesting that this is like sort of a, I don't know, a lost gem of a photo. I don't know if I have photos. I feel like I've seen that photo before, but I don't know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So here's another look at all the cards. We're just gonna go through them again real quick. So there's Mortis. There's Arcana Liturgia. There's Fogweaver. There's Turfin Tarkin, you scruffy nerf herder. There's Velasquez. There's Whispering Mirrors. Here is Akirios. Here's the Daniel from Italy. And of course, Orang from France. Alright, so that is a look at what you will get in the Dungeon Synth Trading Cards Pack 1 Series 1, whatever the hell you want to call it. So this order I got also came with a few other little goodies too. So you get a Dungeon Synth Trading Card logo sticker, and I guess this is like the, you know, the main logo of the Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. You get this sticker, and I believe this is like the, I don't know, like the main logo for Dark Age Productions. You get this business card for Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. I should probably read this, right? So, Dungeon Synth. The series of collectible trading cards features a selection of the best promotional photos and art from the Dungeon Synth music scene, with logos, biographies, quotes, and more on the card backs. Each pack is assembled by hand and contains 10 full-colored numbered cards with glossy, UV-coated fronts and uncoated backs, sealed in an old-school wax pack style wrapper and stamped with a traditional steel automatic numbering machine. And this is also the wax wrappers card, and here's a look at that. So here's what it says in the back of the wax wrappers. Wax Wrappers was founded to produce vintage, self-sealing waxed paper wrappers for collectible trading cards and stickers. These wraps emulate the waxed paper wrappers used on trading cards from about 1920-1990, so it's pretty close. Featuring non-glossy matte printing on semi-transparent paper with a heavy coating of wax inside. No glue is needed to seal your wrappers, all you need is a source of low heat. Our wrappers are perfect for non-sport artist cards, music labels, private brands, hobbyists, and others who need a short-run, custom-printed wax wrappers. Then I also got this advertisement for this here, which probably some Dungeons or something. Got that. Then we have the Dark Age Productions promotional flyer here. And we got a number of their releases. And then I guess this is, if I'm not mistaken, this only came with the first 200 orders made. This is the Dungeon Synth Trading Card poster. Oh yeah, check that out. Ooh, yeah. That's good. Oh shit. That's gonna look pretty cool on my wall, right? You're gonna see it in the background of all my videos going forward. Except for the fact that when I was opening it, I thought I ripped it somewhere. Maybe I was just drunk and I thought I did. Oh, I did right there. I ripped it right there. Oh, whatever. So that's the poster, and I believe that was only included in the first 200 orders. So that's super cool stuff. And that is the Dungeon Synth Trading Cards. Alright guys, well that'll pretty much do it for this video. If you are interested in Dungeon Synth Trading Cards, definitely look them up over at Dark Age Productions. And if you want to see another cool YouTuber, definitely look up Vestabin's Bloodbox. He's doing a lot of cool videos where he's talking about Dungeon Synth and black metal and metal in general. It's a pretty cool channel, and he's he speaks much better than I do, and he doesn't get drunk as shit during the videos like I do, so maybe you'll enjoy him even more than me, but definitely still watch my videos more than his, but definitely check out his or whatever. Well, guys, as usual, I thank you for joining me here. If you've enjoyed what you saw here on the channel, definitely remember to like, share, comment, and rinse and repeat, and tell all your friends. You shout it down the hallways at school, and send banners into the sky and all kinds of cool things, and go on a big hill and yell, "The Not to Look at Dark Ambient Network!" Tell everyone, and then we'll all live happily ever after in our medieval fantasy world, and it'll be great. So see you next time, and my name is Joe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.